First ever cochlear implant surgery successfully performed on 3 patients at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Lawmakers start to uphold their oversight responsibilities at 2022 post-budget review underway in the Volta region. And Sudan's ousted Prime Minister Kolebu and the University of Alep sound to these persons who were deaf or severely hard of hearing. A report by Ofrewa Daku.
When a child is born with a hearing loss, health experts say it could possibly be due to either genetic syndromes, infections, or complications during pregnancy or birth. Yet, it could be treated successfully with a cochlear implant surgery. Being the first of its kind in Ghana, 3 patients aged 2, 4, and 5 have benefited from the surgery. The head of the new Allied Surgery and Ear, Nose and Throat Department at Kolebu, Dr. Kenneth Baidu, said the patients are responding to treatment.
We are keeping them to make sure they are wound healed nicely. And then, like I said in my update, in about 6 weeks, we will now try and turn on the equipment, and then they will start their rehabilitation.
A thorough selection process of patients to undergo the surgery is done to find out if the hearing structure of the patients is in place, although it is not functioning. According to the regional manager of the Medel Hearing Implant Company in Austria, Mr. Mohammed El Dusoy, after the surgery, the implant is not noticeable to anyone and patients are provided with an audio processor, which is worn either on or off the ear.
We have already started in many countries in Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. English-speaking and French-speaking. I'm responsible only for the English-speaking part, and very soon we will be in many other countries.
A cochlear implant is a small, complex electronic device that can help provide a sense of sound to a person who is profoundly deaf or severely hard of hearing. The implant consists of an external portion that sits behind the ear and a second portion that is surgically placed under the skin. For GBC News, Ofrewa Daku reporting.
A former director of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Bedu Akosa, says the global COVID-19 pandemic has challenged healthcare delivery globally and has opened up the need for more investment, especially in infectious disease and public health administration. Professor Akosa said this at the 6th graduation of Ensign Global College, where some 19 students graduated with masters in public health.
Primary health care has been the anchor of Ghana's health system, and as population increases and the disease burden doubles, it is imperative to improve investment in the sector to avert any mismatch. Health experts agree that for the community-based health planning and services policy to succeed, there is an urgent need for additional public health professionals. The need for public health professionals continue to be critical, especially when the world is suffering from a global pandemic, COVID-19. In a bid to ensure that high-level professionals are raised to deal with emerging public health issues, Ensign Global College has conferred master's degree in public health on 19 students after 2 years of studies at the college. The founder of Ensign College, Dr. Mrs. Lynette Gay, charged the students to put their knowledge into improving the health and well-being of Ghanaians. The president of Ensign Global College, Professor Stephen Alder, said the pandemic has challenged the ingenuity of humanity and there is the need to develop a robust public health care for all Ghanaians.
Go forth with courage, accept the call to tackle great challenges, and embrace the opportunity afforded by these challenges that will most surely come your way. Take what you have been given through your education at Ensign Global College and make the world a better, happier, healthier, and more prosperous place. Quite simply, be noble and great. I am confident that is exactly what you will do.
The co-founder of Accra College of Medicine, Professor Efwa Hesse, urged the graduating students to help improve the health literacy rate of Ghanaians. A former Director General of the Ghana Health Service and Vice Board Chair of the college, Professor Bedu Akosa, said although some substantial investment has been made into public health, there is more to be achieved.
Health professionals, health and safety professionals, they are so important that every aspect of our lives we should have these professionals, doing the work in a very high professional standard.
Awards were given to graduates who excelled in their field of studies.
Research findings on governing climate mobility to improve livelihoods in areas affected by climate change have been launched in Accra. At the meeting, the Ministry of Agriculture was tasked to strengthen the ability of farmers to adapt to climate mobility systems and smart agriculture methods to safeguard farmlands and turn them into agro-friendly vegetation.
In the last few years, climate change in Ghana has influenced rain patterns and change in the composition and structure of cropping activities. These have contributed to the reduction of crop yields and incomes of farmers. Research revealed that the government's One Village, One Dam initiative was supportive to farmers, especially those in the northern belt. However, a chunk of farmers in other areas suffered losses. Therefore, interventions such as reforms in water management policies would be needed to expand irrigation to deal with climate change. The findings also highlighted the fact that land ownership is based on inheritance, and as such, most farmers rent the lands they farm due to climate mobility. A crop farmer at Community 3, Jatabu in the Tema West municipality, Mr. Madi Bukari, spoke about the effect of climate change on their crops and livestock.
You farmer, you get wrong to work, but you don't get the water. You don't get money to buy the pumping machine. You don't get money to buy the pipeline. Then they only know for that means we are down.
The Director for Center for Migration at the University of Ghana, Professor Joseph Tay, appealed to the government to work together with the chiefs to help farmers whose crops have been destroyed relocate to new locations where the lands are virgin to enable them adapt to the changing planting seasons.
We also need to facilitate what we call plant migration. There are areas in the forest zone where we have a lot of land. There is nothing that stops people from being encouraged to move to those areas. The government will have to take active in promoting this, negotiating with chiefs of those destination areas, and also providing information to people who are in areas that are facing climate change so that they know where to go to.
A senior researcher and program coordinator at the Danish Institute for International Studies, Mr. Neil Webster, said climate change is a global problem, hence the need to strengthen collective partnerships across Africa. The research work was put together by stakeholders from Ethiopia, Denmark, and Ghana.
The Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Bagbin, has urged parliamentarians not to downplay their control and financial oversight duties over the public purse. At the opening of the post-budget workshop in Hull, Mr. Bagbin urged members of the House to ensure that public funds are utilized for and in the interest of the state. According to him, failure to execute this function will lead to a malfunctioning democracy, as power and resources entrusted to government and public officials are likely to be abused in the pursuit of private interests.
Post-budget workshop was organized for members of parliament and senior officers of the parliamentary service to equip them with skills required to scrutinize the budget and economic policy of government for the 2022 financial year. As an institution clothed with the power of the purse by Chapter 13 of the 1990 Constitution, one of the key functions of parliament is to consider and approve the budget and economic policy of government. Topics to be treated during the two-day event include policy underpinnings of the 2022 budget general analysis, overview of the 2022 budget macroeconomic and fiscal management, what to consider in analyzing the 2022 sector budget. The Finance Minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, shared some thoughts and key issues that the 2022 budget seeks to address.
Mr. Speaker, the 2022 budget, which is themed building a sustainable entrepreneurial nation, fiscal consolidation and job creation, emphasizes post-COVID-19 economic recovery agenda to revitalizing and transforming our economy whilst ensuring fiscal and sustainability of the living standards of our people, COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on lives and livelihoods, youth unemployment and skills development, climate change and its impact on human livability and existence, elevated security concerns, both domestic and the sub-region, corruption and good governance, infrastructure development, especially the roads network, elevated public debt and international capital market access. Mr. Speaker, the 2022 budget addresses these concerns through what we call burden sharing.
The Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Bagbin, called on members of Parliament to live up to their control and oversight functions for the common good of Ghanaians. He also called for equity in budget allocation to the arms of government.
Financial oversight and control over the public purse are very, very important functions of Parliament. Don't forget, without you passing a legislation, the government cannot tax anybody. That's where it begins. And so if you authorize government to tax, to raise revenue, and then you approve a program for government to implement, it behoves on you to make sure that that revenue that has been collected is utilized. Not in the interest of any individual, but in the common interest.
Now, the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, CHAS, is appealing to the Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service, and all allies to promptly review the prices of foodstuffs supplied to schools to avoid the situation where buffer stock suppliers offload the burden of low buffer stock prices vis-a-vis the prevailing market prices onto the school. This is from underweight items by suppliers or negotiated undersupplied food items. This was contained in a communique issued at the end of their 59th annual conference held in Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. The communique was read by the National President of CHAS, Alhaji Yakub A.B. Abubakar.
Buffer stock companies should stop the practice of requesting schools to move to the regional capital to cut food items, as this comes as an extra cost on the already financial burden the schools have.
CHAS is appealing for an upward adjustment of the examination fee.
There should be an upward adjustment of examination fees from the current 10 cedis to 30 Ghana cedis, since CHAS has, through several memos and letters to GES management, justify this request. CHAS request of GES management the need to have a reliable long-term academic calendar for both single and double-track schools to ensure effective planning by schools.
They also suggested to GES to have a second look at the role of PTAs and the idea of allowing pregnant girls to stay in school.
That GES management should come out with clear-cut and documented guidelines on the role of PTAs in our schools to avoid a situation where heads are penalized, interdicted, or asked to step aside for violating verbal directives in this regard. The idea of allowing pregnant girls to stay in schools and interact with their peers comes along with more dire disciplinary consequences and should be relooked at.
The Presbyterian Church of Ghana has celebrated the centenary of its children ministry across the country at a Thanksgiving service at the Presbyterian Church in Accra. The moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Right Reverend Professor J.O.Y. Mante, said the well-being of children should be at the forefront of every facet of the society.
The Basel missionaries had a holistic approach to mission, and the brand of Christianity was a way of life, and education of children was a key component. The children's service was started in 1921 at the Ebenezer Congregation, Osu. The original idea was by Miss J.S. Hogarth and Miss I.P. Ross, who were part of the Scottish missionaries at the time. Through various training programs, the children's service teachers were trained and provided with materials to help them run the services. Later, children's services were started in other presbyteries. The Thanksgiving service for the centenary celebration brought together members of the General Assembly Council, reverend ministers, the clergy, presbyters, children's service teachers, and children from the Presby Church across the country. The celebration was graced with poetry recitals, drama sketch, and Bible readings. Awards were presented to some deserving children to mark the day. A Supreme Court judge, Justice Professor Nia Shikote, bemoaned lack of attention for children by the society. He urged all and sundry to make conscious effort to nurture children into responsible adults. The moderator of the General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Right Reverend Professor J.O.Y. Mante, reminded the congregation that children are beautiful gifts from God to the world. He reiterated the need for parents, guardians, teachers, the church, and the nation as a whole to devote time, attention, care, love, and the needed resources to the total development of every Ghanaian child.
It is very important then that we adults realign our thinking with that of God in relation to children. What this means in practical terms is that if we are building any community, be it a church, a village, a nation, a country, or United Nations, there must be a special policy to protect children. There must be a budget for children. There must be a special place in the heart of every good leader in the church or in the country for children. This means that when God sees street children, he hurts, because he has intentionally sent special angels to guard them.
Right Reverend Professor Mandi announced that the church will provide snacks to all children who attend service every Sunday nationwide. He also commended government for the school feeding initiative and called on all to support the program to make it sustainable.
It's News live on GBC News and GTV. We take a quick break and we'll be back shortly. Please stay.